I'm trying to figure out why I'm up here.
Tell them the story of what happened to you. We want to hear from you.
Not even a part of this family.
Go for it.
Well,
this is not about us. This is about God.
That's true. That's true. I had a little country church in western Nebraska. And I was just getting ready to get up to preach a sermon when a young man walks in the back of the church. And he stops and he's looking around like, I don't know where to go. So I invited him to come in and to sit. I said, I'm just getting ready to preach a sermon, and I'd like to get acquainted with you afterwards. And so he sat and he listened to the sermon. When the sermon was over, I went over and introduced myself, and I asked him his name, and he said, my name is Sandy. And I said, Sandy what? He said, just Sandy. And I said, well, the ladies are fixing a meal. We'd like to have you stay with us, Sandy. I need to talk to my head elder for a moment, and then I'll come and join you, and I'll introduce you to some of the church members that are there. So Sandy went out, and I talked to the head elder. And as I was talking to him, I finished and I went out into the foyer. And normally after the sermon, we had a family where this one lady had four little kids under the age of 5. And they were extremely hyperactive children. And they would just bounce off the wall and be crying and screaming after the sermons. But when I went out, I saw Sandy sitting on a couch, and the little kids were sitting next to him with their hands folded, as quiet as could be, never saying a word. And so I went over, and Sandy says, I've got a message for you. Do you mind if I borrow a Bible? And so one of the elders gave him his Bible, and he says, I want to turn to, and he would say the name of the book of the Bible and the chapter and the verse, and without looking at it, he would turn to that Bible book, the chapter and the verse, hold it up, quote the verse, point it with his finger as it was leading across perfectly on the same verse. And he would go one right after another, after another, after another. And his message was the soon coming of Jesus. And he told the men, he says, you're the spiritual leaders of your family. You need to get your families ready because Jesus is coming soon. He ate with us, and then I walked Sandy to the door. And of all things, Sandy got on a Harley-Davidson motorcycle. And he drove off and went around a corner, and I didn't see him as he went around a corner. But there were church members who had not been at the church, but they were driving by, and they had turned in, and I knew the son that was in the car was crazy about motorcycles. He could tell the name of the motorcycle, how big the engine was, just by listening to the engine. And so he came in, and I said, I asked him, I said, did you see that guy on that motorcycle? You just passed him, it wasn't even 10 seconds. And he said, I never saw a motorcycle, and there was no motorcycle there. And so I think my angel's name is Sandy. But I want to